when you're trading, you need to be feet grounded. You need to be right there in the chart, fully present. I think when people get to that certain account balance, we're like, oh, well, like if I get 5% today, well, this is going to be X amount of money. Well, they're thinking too much in the future, or maybe they're thinking, well, oh, I've gotten here before and then I've lost X, Y, Z. So they're not present. You have to be 100% present when you're looking at the charts in that moment. Living in this world, we're so like microwave ready. We got to have it quick, like press of a button, done. Like, so we're always in a rush. But first of all, like, yeah, if I was to bring all this education down into a couple different things, it's keep it simple, and it is simple. The more complicated you make it for yourself, you're only going to complicate your trading journey. It doesn't have to be that complicated. It doesn't have to be that hard. And you're going to make mistakes. It's going to be incredibly challenging at times, but give yourself the grace and patience to go through that and then lean on your community, right? And that's probably the biggest thing about prosperity. It's the community above pretty much all else, in my opinion. In the community, in collaboration, you will find greater mastery. So go make some friends, go reach out to people, like, and you know, it doesn't have to be the top guys. Find your own mastery group where you guys can learn and grow together, and that'll sharpen you guys a lot quicker. Lean into the community, similar to how a university actually works, where you're supposed to go there, find fellowship, find some friendships, and actually work together with one another, and you'll exponentially move your trading journey faster.
So what are the secrets? How do some of the most successful entrepreneurs find the freedom that we all got into business for in the first place? How did they find the time, energy, and resources to launch and scale strong? And how do entrepreneurs like us align our time, money, and energy in a way that will allow us to reach what we set out to achieve? These are the key questions, and this community will give you the answers. Welcome to the Prosperity Movement. Welcome to the Prosperity U podcast. Today we have a very special guest. He is a student, a servant leader, and one of the most amazing human beings that I've ever had the privilege of connecting with. And so I'm going to dive into maybe a little bit of a story intro on how we met Dave, if that's all right. He's one of our students at Prosperity U, and not only a student, but also, I don't know if we can use the word master yet, but by far, definitely, he is an individual that takes information. It doesn't really matter what Dave attaches to. He'll take something and he'll make it better somehow, or find a way to streamline. And so Dave has done that with our education. He's been able to take the information from James, and he's helped Zach out quite a bit with really streamlining the education and making it very comprehensive, making it very digestible. And we'll dive into maybe some of those details today, but ultimately I met Dave a few years ago through church. I think we're going on closer to like 7 years, maybe even 8 years of knowing each other now. And when we first started getting into the space of trading, I just knew that this was something that Dave would love. And I actually reached out to him and I was like, hey, dude, like, what are you doing for your clients? Because he's in the finance industry. He's with WFG. He's on one of the fastest growing teams, one of the largest teams in North America. And I said, dude, like, what can you get typically for your clients? Like, what's the most that you can get? And he's like, well, on a really aggressive kind of policy, we can put something in place and get, roughly maybe 25% a year or something like that. And of course, the 9% is nine to basically 25, just depending on how we structure the whole thing. And I'm like, okay, cool. So what if you could do that in a week? What if you could do that in a day? And he was like, you got my antennas up. And so one thing led to the next, and we introduced him to one of the platforms that we were with at the time. We don't have enough time to go through all the details of all the evolutions that occurred, but ultimately the rest was history. And we've seen Dave do some incredible things with, everything as small as like a $50 to a $5 account, and bringing that into thousands of dollars. So we're going to talk about that today. And so I mean, where do you want to go from here, Zach? That's our kind of connection. Beautiful. In a nutshell.
Beautiful entry. Well, what I want to do is I want to break down Dave Wimbush a little bit here. Not like interrogate him, but kind of. We're gonna. I want to get into your mind a little bit, because we know once you have experience in trading, you start to understand that it's so much less about what's on the chart, and it's so much more about what goes on up here. But first and foremost, recently, over the last couple of months, I think you had a kind of, I don't know if was it a personal record in terms of growth within a period of time for you?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
What, do you want
I
to get into the percentage of what the growth was like?
well, I could just tell you, like I basically put $1,000 in account on a Friday, did a little bit of trading, was up, and then in the next 8 trading days, I doubled the accounts, took 1,000 to 2,000, withdrew that my initial capital, so I was just trading with profit, and then I almost doubled it again. It's just shy of like $1,800 in that 8 trading days, and yeah, it
Wow.
was yeah, that was my personal best. And I always struggled around like 1,000. Once I had like a couple $100 account that I took to 1,000, then I just struggled at 1,000. Then I had like a $500 account. I struggled at 1,500. And this one I just like blew through sort of my previous
Interesting.
barriers and just went from there.
Interesting. What do you think is kind of first off, what do you think would be like the cause of like when you get to a dollar threshold that you start to struggle? And then do you think anyone else kind of has experienced something similar?
Absolutely. I think once you get to a certain dollar value, you start thinking in terms of like, oh, well, this can generate me XYZ per day, or you're not actually focused in the present. You're not focused on the charts. You're too focused maybe in the past, or you're too focused in the future. When you're trading, you need to be feet grounded. You need to be right there in the chart, fully present. Right. I think when people get to that certain account balance, we're like, oh, well, like if I get 5% today, well, this is going to be X amount of money. Well, they're thinking too much in the future, or maybe they're thinking, well, oh, I've gotten here before and then I've lost XYZ. So they're not present. You have to be 100% present when you're looking at the charts in that moment.
That is fantastic advice. Holy smokes. I never even thought of it like that. Yeah. Okay. Because we actually, I could think of a couple people off the top of my head who have done really, really well with their trading, even bigger numbers than we're talking about here, but they always hit this cap, and then they start to falter and break rules
Yeah.
and go
So
the other way.
they're probably thinking not in the present. They're somewhere else in that time.
Well,
Wow. Okay.
and to be fair too, like even James, like James has a system that he says if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Like so for him, he started out with 50-pound lot sizes, has not moved from that, other than he'll scale in, so he'll double down, he'll triple down, and even up to quadruple down in the middle of trades. But he always starts at that point. Now that's not a starting point for everybody. You're not going to start at the deadlifting, you know, 250 or 300 pounds on day one in the gym, right? For him, he did in terms of like him, but he also had a really cushy job. He was doing really well. He threw in an account and like he just so, but for him that he doesn't falter. Like he probably could. We have students that have up to 200-pound lot sizes, right? So he probably could move further, but he just, that he's decided that's where he feels in the pocket, if you will.
Yeah.
So, and it's been interesting to witness you, Dave, because like I remember days in the beginning where you literally started with like a $5 account. We're talking penny pips at that time and taking that 5 to 50 and then that 50 to 100 to 200. And like I would kind of describe that kind of again like going to the gym on day one. You're not going to deadlift 500 pounds, and so you're going to start with the bar, and then you start putting plates on and all that kind of stuff. What would you kind of express to people just kind of coming into this space, and what to expect, and then also, sharing a little bit of your experience on how you've been able to go from the $5 account size to being confident with like you said, $1,000 account size. And at some point, I'm very sure you're going to be at a 10,000, 15,000. Like it's interesting because this all happened. if we take a look at the timeline, I know I'm bouncing around a little bit here. We'll reel it all in. But if we look at the timeline, you've been really seriously trading with us in Forex now for not even a year. You took off something like 6 months or something.
Yeah,
You,
I'd probably say I was trading Forex for about 2 or 3 months, and then it had to take a step back and took 6 months off and then came back to it. And I've sort of still been hit and miss based off of what's going on in life, but I'd probably say I'm about 4 months, 5 months in to trading.
hmm Yeah, and just so you know, condolences. I know that the big reason why I had to step away was because you had a pretty big family. I mean, one of the primary family members passed recently. So that one of the big things that we talk about in our community is if you're dealing with something big like that, that it's probably best to hold off and um, wait until you're in a proper sound place in your heart and mind. And so sounds like, I mean, you don't even necessarily feel like you're fully at that point right now, and you're just kind of getting your feet a little bit wet, and you like this is what I mean by like you 3 or 4 months and then you took a massive amount, like you don't even have like sorry, if you were to bank how many months, you said 4 or 5 months into trading at this point,
Yeah, 4 or 5 months into Forex.
into Forex of like actually focused,
Yeah.
which is like, so it was like 3 months in the beginning and then you're in a couple months in now, so like that is that is like, Zach, how would you kind of measure
Yeah,
like
that's really remarkable in terms of the success rate, hold percentage wise, and all that kind of stuff. Like your numbers are fantastic for such a short period in the charts. And one thing that I think, Dave, I can attribute to how you're doing so well is that you're a fantastic student, right? Like you're a great leader, but I think part of every great leader is being a great student. And so even when you're going through a tough time, family passing, um, Dave called me randomly just to let me know I'm stepping away for a bit because this hard stuff is happening. Like we have a lot of students where stuff comes up and they literally disappear. I'm not saying everyone has to let us know or anything like that, but it just kind of goes to show the level of commitment that Dave had to his trading. It's almost like he didn't want to step away, but he knew he had to. And so that's pretty pretty apparent for that. Anyway, yeah. So, Travis, do you got a question for Dave?
Dave, with Forex and trading in general, you've all obviously experienced both the ups and downs, the effective and ineffective. For people who are listening and are just not getting into the idea of I think I want to learn how to trade and stuff, what is just some of the, like, I just kind of want to really wide range this question to you. What do you think is something really super important that you've learned that you can let them know about before they get started?
Oh, that it is so much simpler than you make it, right? It does not need to be hard. It does not need to be challenging. I think we do a really good job keeping things simple, and there's even strategies with simple in the in the title. Um, but I actually recently saw a podcast, and it was a couple of Navy SEAL guys talking with one another, and they said, "Slow is smooth, and smooth is fast." Slow is smooth, and smooth is fast. And I just keep that sort of in my head, is that, you know, the slower I go, like I feel like, coming from a sales background or even just living in this world, we're so like microwave ready. We got to have it quick, like press of a button, done. Like, so we're always in a rush. But first of all, like, yeah, if I was to bring all this education down into a couple different things, it's keep it simple, and it is simple. The more complicated you make it for yourself, you're only going to complicate your trading journey, because a lot of that education you're going to take in over time. You're not going to just, if you said, hey, I'm going to get into trading when I know everything, you'll never trade because there's almost an infinite amount of things to learn.
Right.
But there's a lot of training that you're going to do along the way. But even again, it's slow and steady wins the race. Slow is smooth, smooth is fast. Sometimes you have to take a step back so that you could take 3 steps forward. So it doesn't have to be that complicated. It doesn't have to be that hard. And give yourself grace. Give yourselves plenty of grace. You're going to make mistakes. It's going to be challenging, incredibly challenging at times, but give yourself the grace and patience to go through that, and then lean on your community, right? And that's probably the biggest thing about prosperity. It's the community above pretty much all else, in my opinion.
I remember when I first saw you in person, I was dead tired in the airport, and you're, 20 people in front of me in the getting on the plane. You're like, "Hey, you!" And I was like, "What? Who? Huh?" Oh, Dave. Yeah, it was really cool. By the way, guys, Dave will do illegal things to help people, just so you know.
I need context here. What?
Near illegal things. I'm a rule bender,
totally
not a breaker. Well,
I'm a rule bender, not a breaker.
I won't let you live it down though, and I'm totally joking. It's such a squirrel topic. I'm sorry. We'll get back on track here.
Well, now you got to give context, because
it was
that's
Florida.
Definitely for people watching this for the first time. I don't know. That's one of the first things I want them to hear. So why don't you share what the story is real quick?
We're talking about the truck thing.
Yeah.
Okay.
I was a part of it too.
Yeah, basically, the bunch of wind hit a truck. It blew the back cover off, and people's personal effects were flying everywhere. So we sort of broke into the truck to secure everything. So we were really helping that person. It was a minor in B&E, but with a major in servant leadership.
We had to tie down the.
They would have lost everything. Okay.
Somebody woke up and their truck is all tied down and
the tension in the conversation here. You Travis, you had me going. That sounds more like oh man, what do you call that? A goodwill.
Yeah, I heard all about. I was not there, and I heard all about it the next day from someone.
Did you guys end up meeting the people with that again? I can't remember.
No, was gone.
Didn't even meet him.
But they're probably wondering why all the shoes in their car didn't have shoelaces, because I used all those shoelaces to tie down the rest of their stuff.
We helped them.
Hey.
Lots of shoelaces.
Yeah, imagine the cops show up. Look, we're just trying to help these guys. We're just trying to make sure everything stays together.
Oh my gosh! Can you imagine if you came out to your truck, all your shoelaces?
Oh man, that was such a. I'm trying to recall all of the things that happened on that Florida trip. That was a fun one, man.
Yeah.
It wasn't as warm as Cabo would have been, or
I got one last question for Dave here as we get ready to tie up. So obviously, being active in trading for 4 or 5 months, you've scaled up a few times and then withdraw money, scale up again, withdraw money, which is really great practice to get. What would you say was the big, did you have a big aha moment with your trading that it was man, this is so much simpler than I was making it out to be? I mean, what was that aha for you?
It all comes down to collaboration. Is that they had, there was a really good strategy in place, and we were mingling in some different time frames, and then we're just riffing off each other, between Matt, myself, we're talking with Shane or Guy, and we're just spitballing ideas, and Matt took something that I was doing on lower time frames, and I took something that he was doing on higher time frames, and so then we sort of married them both. And so I had this sort of little bit of a sit down session with Matt, and I showed him what I was doing, and he's like, "This is really good, but you should why don't you just do this and move your chart around and boom. Instead of having 4 screens open, you'll just have one." And I was like, wait a second. And so it just streamlined my process. So really the big thing, my aha moment, was collaborating with other members and sort of seeing, okay, well, he's using this higher time frame to succeed. I'm using this lower time frame to succeed. We actually met in the middle, and that's sort of how we got to a strategy that we have now. It's been working really good.
Johnny 5 is what you're focused on right now.
Yeah. and I'm just a crayon eating monkey. When the colors are all the same, I know which way the market's going. You take entries. When the colors aren't all matching, like my 4-year-old can do this. Like,
Yeah.
hey, honey, Julia, what are all the colors? All the colors are red, Daddy. What do I do? Sell it. Awesome. All the colors are green. What do? We buy it. Awesome. What are the colors? They're red and green. What do we do? Nothing. So yeah, I like keeping it simple.
That's awesome. Do you incorporate a little bit of DRS or anything like that?
Oh, absolutely. Like, so you want to be targeting and looking at some of that stuff, and using and DRS, for those who are on the call who might be newer, it's just divergence, rejection, and signal. When you see, again, divergence, you see the rejection of a line, it's like, okay, great. Well, we're selling right now. We see the divergence, we see the rejection of a line. It's like, okay, great. I can anticipate a signal coming in the other direction. Right.
Yeah.
And so then you wait for the colors to change. You wait for everything to line up.
So the signal, what you're talking about, crayon eating monkey, is the signal is green means go up and red means go down. Super simple.
Yeah.
So,
The strategy is super, super simple. As long as you see it, you see the signal and all the colors are in your direction, you're just flowing with trend. And it's been excellent. So
awesome. That was so powerful. I don't know, that was in the pocket, short and sweet, to the point. Is there anything else that you guys want to ask Dave before we tie up?
Nope.
It
was great.
But Dave, do you have anything that you think would be of relevance for folks that are either a little bit seasoned here or not with trading? Just, there's a wealth of wisdom that I hear from you every time we talk. Is there anything on your mind that might be, you think, valuable for people to hear?
100%. Like, hey, I don't know if some of you guys have, whether some may or may not have graduated high school, some might have graduated post-secondary education, like university or college, something like that. But I don't know what your guys' experience is like, but I know what mine was like. I remember in high school when I was in study hall and I was with others working on projects, you could see a sort of a growth or a mastery happen in that course. And in result, what happened was my marks went up, right? In university, someone I was dating in my first degree, we collaborated with other people often, and I got really good marks. I got a 3.6, I think, in my first degree. And I think like 3.6, some people might be like, oh, I'm a 4.0 person. It doesn't matter. 3.6 for me is pretty darn good. And then my second degree, I was more solo artist, a lot less collaboration, and I dropped from a 3.6 to a 2.6. And I had more of the mentality of D's get degrees or C's get degrees, and I didn't really care from there, right? But in the community, in collaboration, you will find greater mastery. So go make some friends, go reach out to people, like, and it doesn't have to be the top guys, like of sort of the first wave of guys that came through, like Matt, Shane, Guy. Like, we have a nice little group that we can get together and trade in. But find your own group, find your own mastery group where you guys can learn and grow together. And that'll sharpen you guys a lot quicker than just trying to go through the education or trying to be a solo artist. Lean into the community, similar to how a university actually works, where you're supposed to go there, find fellowship, find some friendships, and actually work together with one another. And you'll exponentially, move your trading journey faster.
So good. So good. Someone's asking, can you please send out the link to this interview? You'd like to watch it event again? Yeah. So all of this will be available on YouTube, I believe. If you look at Prosperity U, it will also be available on Apple Podcast, on Spotify. You should be able to see this within the next week, if I recall correctly there, Zach. So it'll be there. So yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And, if you'd like to book a time, if you're brand new and you just kind of want to learn, we've got traders that are happy to talk with you on the phone. Dave, a lot of times, jumps on the phone, chats with some people. Shane does. We've got a few traders that have had bad experience before, coming here and seeing something completely different, that are happy to converse with you, talk with you. We've got success consultants that are happy to chat with you, and sometimes the founders, if we're able to, we're happy to chat with you. So how you can get into that kind of opportunity is very simply go to prosperitymovement.online. There's a little chat bubble at the bottom right hand corner of the page. And if you want, we'll get you the blueprint completely complimentary to help prepare you for your success. Do your due diligence. We have a nice little due diligence package for you that will get you about two hours worth of material. I always tell people, treat it like you paid for it, and you'll get a great investment from your time. So just go ahead, put blueprint as a subject line, put your information in, bottom right-hand corner, prosperitymovement.online, and we'll get to you and make a connection. We want to wish everybody the best in health, wealth, and relationships. God bless. Bye for now.
Thank you, Dave.
Cheers.
Thanks,
Dave.
guys. Have a good day.